Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our weekend preview. And what a weekend we have coming up. It's Qipco British Champions Day, Jack. I am so excited. You know how buzzed I get for this weekend. It's definitely up there as one of my favourite weekends racing of the year. All I can say is, you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, that flag raise was a little bit embarrassing, but yeah, I'm not really too sure. You're allowed to do it this weekend, though. Not too much of an Irish contingent coming over, so I think you're allowed to do it this weekend. A few French horses, of course, we will get onto, but yeah, it was a great weekend for us last year, and it's going to be the same again this year.
Yeah, and for those who can remember last year, I'll put the image up now of us winning when we put Seal away up for the Champion Stakes. No French runners in this year's Champion Stakes, unfortunately. Well, we've got a short price favourite in that race, and we potentially could see a star retire, which will be nice. And I'm sure you'll see plenty of pictures from the weekend of myself and Jack on Friday night. We're in a nice bar playing darts. Any good at darts, Jack?
I don't know. Sometimes I dabble. We'll find out.
Yeah, some people call me the future Michael Van Gogh, so you're in a bit of trouble. But we'll see how things go. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Great group of mates, and yeah, just I cannot wait. Honestly, bring on Champions Weekend. It's the best day of the year.
Breathe.
It is. And Craig Charles after racing. I'll tell you what. Can't wait for that. A bit of soul and funk. That's a bit of me. Right, let's get into the racing. I'm going off on one now. We've got plenty of group races to get through, and then we have the Balmoral Handicap to finish things off. But we start off with a Group 2. I'm not sure how this is a Group 2 and why it's not a Group 1 yet. But this is the 125. It's the Qipco British Champions Long Distance Cup. Like I say, Group 2 over 2 miles for the stayers. And at the time of recording, Trushan and Eldar Elder offer 5-2 joint favourites. Waterville is 3-1. Coltrane is 8-1. Quickthorn 12s and 14s bar. Now, Jack, I texted you earlier today when I was doing all of the study for this race, just saying I'm so confused. I don't know why I'm so confused with this race, but I don't know really who wins it.
Yeah, it is. It's a very tricky one, especially as we don't know exactly who's going to go. I know Alan King, so I heard him refer to Trushan, or someone refer to Alan King and Trushan. It's kind of like your favourite shirt or your favourite T-shirt. I mean, you love it. It only comes out every so often for that special dinner, but then you realise it's too small after a year or two. So Trushan kind of reminds me a little bit of that. And yeah, of course, he was beaten by Coltrane last time out. Good on his penultimate run. He was beaten fair and square by Stradivarius and Kyprios. Of course, they're not back here today. But look, I just think the difference in price between Trushan and Coltrane is the first thing that I'll question, because 5-2 compared to 8-1. The forecast is a little bit up in the air. I think we do actually have good ground at the moment, but there is rain forecast for Thursday evening, Friday morning as well. So I think we will have good to soft. It won't be bottomless at all. Can't get my head around Waterville. I think it'll be a potential cup horse next year. I just think perhaps as a 3-year-old, 3-year-olds don't exactly have the best record in this. Let's not forget Stradivarius and Big Orange are both turned over as 3-year-olds in this. So Waterville and Eldorado on that point, I could definitely oppose. Quickthorn, they said he may have gone over the top last time out, as Coltrane they said that. So I think it's a bit of a mess of a race, as you say. But I mean, whilst I was kind of just getting my head around it all, I was just digging into racing post ratings, which I quite like to do. The last 10 years, the average RPR required to win this is 118. Now, looking through those who've actually achieved this, Trushan's recorded 118 twice this year and 126 when he recorded the Northumberland Plate. The only other horse in the race to have achieved 118 or higher was Quickthorn, recording 120 in the York Lonsdale Cup. But there was one which really intrigued me, and that's Raise You, who recorded 117 when winning the Orby Stakes in May. Now, looking into Raise You, of course, Joseph O'Brien's contingent, he was a luckless second to Isle of Tyrone Limerick, decisively put Search for a Song to bed in the Irish St Ledger trial, albeit over shorter, and really wasn't disgraced in heavy ground last time out in the Irish Ledger when fifth. If you look at his pedigree as well, he's closely related to bumper winner over 2 Mile Hasm. His dams are full sisters at the Turn of the Sun, who recorded his best performance over 2 Mile 3 and was also a chase winner over 2 Mile 3, I think on heavy ground as well. So I think there's definitely stamina in the pedigree there. And if Raise You can take a step forward, and we're not too sure who's actually going to come here, I think Raise You's a decent each way bet.
Yeah, no, Raise You, a horse who I'm pretty sure, Jack, I might be wrong here, but last year I put up for this meeting, but I would have put him up for the Balmoral. Is that right?
I think he did.
I'm sure that was the case. Obviously now stepped right up in trip, an extra mile for this horse coming here in 2022. And look, a massive price Raise You. Joseph O'Brien is sending his horse over. And I couldn't get away with what you said earlier about the difference between Trushan and Coltrane in price. 8-1. I know we had the quote from Andrew Goulding saying that this horse had kind of overworked earlier in the week, which you said can sometimes be a bit of a worry. But look, if he sends the horse here and the horse does run, then you know this horse has got to be up for the occasion. He's been so consistent. Look, he's been in the top 6 of his 8 runs. Should love the going. I mean, last day he ran on good to soft against Trushan. That was at Doncaster and battled away. I know that was a really weirdly run race at Doncaster last day, but still, look, he did the job and won that in fair enough style. And I just think that if he does run at 8-1, I can't see him be out of the frame. I think he's a cracking each way betting here. Trushan, a horse that if this horse does run here, and I've said this plenty before, now I think Trushan is a very good horse, but people who describe this horse as one of the best stayers we've had in the last 10 years, I cannot agree with one bit. I just don't like the fact that this horse relies on soft ground. I think this horse is a good horse, Jack, but I just don't like the amount of praise this horse when it comes to kind of the ground and everything like that. I like a horse who can do it on kind of decent going and soft going if needs be. A horse like Kyprios is perfect for this because he can do it on everything. But Trushan's so reliant on soft ground. I'm just not a massive fan of that. But
just a quick question with Trushan. Of course, his head carriage was a little bit up in the air, and I know they kind of went from a crawl to a sprint last time out of Doncaster. Do you think he is still the force of old of winning the Northumberland Plate, or do you think he's perhaps gone off the ball a bit towards the end of the term?
Yeah, well, I was speaking to my dad whilst this race was on when he's running at Doncaster, and my dad's a massive fan of racing. We both said that he just doesn't look himself. Now, whether that was just that one run and you could put a line for it, I don't know. But that'd be my only worry, is that he just didn't look the force of old. And I'd agree with your point there, Jack. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll see what Alan King does after this race. I mean, they may still not go here. Obviously, the Pre-Royal Oak is the other race that this horse could go for. So we'll have to wait and see. Eldaroff, I just think, I just can't, at the price, I can't have Eldaroff that short. I know he won the Ledger, but I don't think it was a very good Ledger at all. Maybe it's one for the Cup Division next year, but we all know that they've got to beat Kyprios next season. And Waterville, I think he could be the one to challenge Kyprios to the same stable next year in the Cup Division. I've put him down as one for next year. I haven't got him down for this race, but look, you probably wouldn't be surprised if he were the one to go and win this. But I think Coltrane 8-1, a cracking each way bet. And Jack raised you 33-1. Let's see how that one gets on. Let's go on to a completely different division now, the 2 o'clock, which is the Qipco British Champions Sprint Stakes. 6 furlongs, like I say, Group 1. Creative Force is your 5-2 favourite. This is last year's winner. Rohan is 9-2. Kinross 6-1. Fascinating if he does turn up. Art Power 9-1. Perfect Power 10-1. 11-1 about Tenebrism and 12 Bar. I like a couple here at double figure odds, Jack, and I know that we may just agree on one here. Who do you like?
Yeah, so I like one at a single figure price, and that is the second favourite, Rohan. Now, you can't get away from Creative Force. You think of kind of 6 furlongs over at Ascot, who's kind of versatile ground-wise, who can handle soft ground. You probably just think of Creative Force straight away. I mean, second in the Platinum Jubilee, 4th in the July Cup. Ground kind of went against him in the Sprint Cup. 5-2 is a fair enough price, but I think it's just so open. And for me, Rohan, he's a 4-year-old, Sam. I'm pretty sure this is his 29th outing.
It's mad, isn't it?
6 or 7. But look, I mean, I thought for a second he was going to have a tough campaign, but look, they're already thinking about Dubai afterwards. And last year they pretty much started him off on the all-weather, and he still went on and on and on. I mean, he's 4 from 5 over course and distance. His one loss, of course, was in this last year when he finished 18th of 20. He never travelled that day whatsoever. But I was really impressed with his run in the Bengoff Stakes when he won with Adam Kirby on board, who's been jocked back up last time out. He's a very strong traveller at the rear of the field, very much open to hard luck stories, definitely. But I mean, Adam Kirby managed to wiggle through a gap and kicked on in good style. I mean, of course, the Bengoff Stakes has been a decent prep run for this. And going into this, and of course, I mean, you could spend all day talking about Kinross, Art Power, Perfect Power, Tenebrism, but the other one, double figure price, who we both talk about, is Brad the Brief, who kind of just seems like an absolute forgotten horse, especially if more rain comes. I mean, he's gone from a handicapper to a group performer in absolutely no time, and he won the Greenland Stakes in good style, and that was by no means a mean feat. I mean, he beat Moon Easter and Case of You there, of course, Group 1 winner. He was a non-runner in both the City of York Stakes and the Sprint Cup due to the conditions, but I mean, it really wouldn't be surprised if he did take another step forward here, especially if there is more rain. I think he's definitely forgotten. He's about 16 to 1. So Brad the Brief for me each way, and I can't get away from Rohan. It's going to be his day.
Okay, yeah, I've got two in the race as well. I'll start off with Brad the Brief. You mentioned it since moving to Hugo Palmer, 2 from 2. Obviously, lightly raced just due to the ground. Like Jack say, won a Group 2 on his last start. That was back in May, but we know this horse should go well fresh as well. So I wouldn't mind that at all. Probably, look, it's currently good to soft start. I've heard this evening. They did a reading. There was a video of Chris Stickles out on course. Good soft. They are expecting a couple of showers now. I mean, I hate doing it on this channel chat with weather forecasts, but if the rain that is expected comes, I would not expect this ground to be bottomless come Saturday. I think that we'll probably end up with good to soft in places at worst, but I've got a feeling we'll just be good to soft all over, but we'll wait and see. But if that's the case, I think Brad the Brief will run. And the other horse that I just cannot get away from, and I swear to God, Aidan O'Brien, do not send this horse for the QE2. Do not do it, because she's entered in both. And this is Tenebrism. Look, they just need to give up with this horse over a mile, unfortunately. Look, I think she's an out-and-out 6 furlong sprinter. She's actually going to be given weight by every horse in the field. If you actually look through the race, I mean, it's only a pound or two off some of the runners, but she gets a hell of a lot of weight off a couple of, I think, 4 or 5 pounds. And look, we know she can win at 7. She's done it this season. She doesn't mind the good soft ground. But I just think that this race here, we've seen it time and time again. It's made for a horse who gets 7 furlongs, but can also show speed. And I just think that's what she is. I think she is perfectly made for this race. And Ryan Moore on board, it will just be spot on, in my opinion. I've got a feeling Tenebrism is going to go very close. She's around 11-1 at this moment in time, but a strong 6. I've just got this feeling they're going to realise that this is what she's made for. So Tenebrism and Brad the Brief, a joint selection for myself and Jack. On to 240 now, the Qipco British Champions Fillies and Mares Stakes, a Group 1 over a mile and a half. And Emily Upjohn is 7-2, Eternal Pearl 5-1, Mimikyu is 6-1, Sela Rosa 7-1. Last year's winner, Ashada, is 8-1, 9-1 about Sweet Lady and Stay Alert, and double figures bar those. Now, Sweet Lady, Jack, I think might go very, very close here. Now, she won the Vermeil in, well, look, decent enough style from the front, held off the likes of Lilac Road, Tuesday, La Parisienne. Now, I was speaking to a gent who knows his French racing very well. I know a few of you might know him on Twitter, but Jordan Hopkins about this horse, and he's put this horse up at 16-1, and we know that he can move markets. And I think when I was speaking to him, I just wanted to find out what his thoughts were on everything, and obviously we're still waiting on the draw for the horse and everything like that. We want an ideal draw, but I'd be very surprised, and he would as well, if she did exactly what she did in the Vermeil and try and make things from the front, because we both know it's very difficult to do that. Ascot go from the front and try and kick off that bend. But if she can get a nice draw and settle in behind a few runners, I've just got a feeling in the straight, she's going to come through. And Gregory Benoit is set to ride this horse. Now, I think he's a very, very talented jockey. He rode plenty of winners actually over in the UK. But Al Shakab, he was a jockey for. I remember him winning a decent price at Goodwood one day. But a really talented, kind of experienced rider. I know Barcelona's on the other Graphar runner and Very Elegant. I mean, it would be fantastic if she could go and win as the Melbourne Cup winner. But I think that's going to be a very difficult task. But Sweet Lady would be number 1. And there is a worry if this horse definitely goes for this race as my second selection. I know you mentioned, Jack, that you're not 100% sure, but we'll wait and see come Thursday morning. And this is Mimikyu, tipped up by Tom Seagal, Anti-Post, and Paul Keeley only today. Now, she looks very smart. She wouldn't mind a strong pace in here. She's won over 2 furlongs further than this the last day. I'd ignore the run prior to that. I put a scratch right through that. She was very keen and just had no luck at all. She's come out of nowhere, really, Jack. And I've just got a feeling that she's going to be quite exciting for next year as well. She's in the same colours as Free Winds. Now, we know Free Winds had a bit of a setback. And if Free Wind were to come here fully fit, I've got a feeling she'd just absolutely hack up in this field, being totally honest, because I think Free Wind is the star, well, other than Alpinista, the star mare out there. But I think Mimikyu is going to be the one to beat on the day. I've just got question marks around Emily Upjohn. I know that Frankie's going to be aboard her, and I know a lot of people will still be looking for redemption from the Epsom Oaks. But yeah, look, I'll take her on with, a 5-1, 6-1 shot in Mimikyu and a 9-1 shot with Sweet Lady for myself. Jack, what about yourself?
I think it's an absolutely cracking race.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very good betting heat. I think Emily Upjohn could have easily been installed as the 9-4, 5-2 favourite. 7-2. She's not even the worst price in the world. I won't be backing her. She pulled so hard in the King George. Or she's obviously had lots of niggles, lots of problems. If she turns up in her Oaks form when she beat Nashville and was just behind Tuesday, she'll probably win this, I think. And goodness me, Mimic You, as you say, what a super sub that is for George Strawbridge after 3 wins being taken out. I mean, that first time hood worked an absolute treat at Doncaster last time out. But look, I think this race, albeit perhaps not the most quality Group 1 we're ever going to see, I think it's very competitive, and there is also a lot of quality in and around there. A week or so ago, I was adamant the winner was going to come out of the Vermeer, as you said. Sweet Lady, the winner, or Lilac Road, the second. But the more I've looked at it, the more I've kind of gone against that, probably partly to do with the ground's not going to be as bottomless as I did think not so long ago. Ashard is very interesting, of course. She's been laid out for this, was second to Mimic You last time out. Wouldn't be surprised if you did reverse that form, I think it's fair to say. But then you've got the likes of Emily Dickinson dropping back in trip, I find quite intriguing. Of course, as you say, very elegant. Thunder Kiss for Joe Lyons has good bits and pieces of forms of 40-1, and Mise en Scenes stepping up to the strip for the first time. There are a couple in here that I'm going to be backing. I've got 2 selections. The first, Eternal Pearl, who's turned into an out-and-out winning machine of late on her last 4 outings, and she's just been getting better and better, and her RPRs kind of agree with this as well. Now, on bare form, she doesn't really look like she has the strongest form claims whatsoever. I mean, she beat Peripatetic by under a length last time out, but I mean, it seems like on every single one of her outings, the penny's just dropping later and later. She'll definitely stay further than a mile and 4, I'm sure for that. And the time of her win at Newmarket was actually a very good time last time out. She finished about 5 lengths quicker than Siskiny, who ran over the same course and distance on the same day. Siskiny's rated 113. Yes, he was carrying £6 more than Eternal Pearl, but I still think that was a very, very good time. And her final 2 furlongs was 0.7 seconds quicker, so about 3.5 lengths quicker. The slight worry, I think, is the lack of pace there is. Sweet Lady may go from the front, but if she doesn't, I think there's a distinct lack of pace, and I don't think she'll really want it to turn into a sprint. But nonetheless, I think 5-1, there's still meat on the bone there. And the other one is Stay Alert at 9-1. Who was very keen over a mile and a half in the Lancashire Oaks, had to travel the widest of all at the rear of the field, and the race just suited front runners. But next time out in the Legacy Cup, she beat Fancy Man by net, given lots of weight as well. But that definitely did not flatter her superiority whatsoever. She travelled very strongly on the rail. David Egan tucked her in, but she just got stuck in a huge traffic jam. I think David Egan had to try and change his course 3 or 4 times. She completely lost momentum. Had to switch around the outside, but picked up in very, very good style. Now, if I'm not wrong, I think it was the fastest renewal in the race for a long time. So I think Stay Alert to do that over a mile and 3. I think she'll definitely stay a mile and a half. And if there isn't too much pace, and I do think it is going to suit her because I think she does have a good turn of foot. Yes, Fancy Man's not exactly the most luxurious rival to beat last time out, given weight. But I mean, considering the time and considering how much she had in hand, I really wouldn't be surprised if Stay Alert, again at 9-1, I'm not too sure if she's definitely going to go, but I think Stay Alert and Eternal Pearl are 2 that I'll definitely be waging war with.
There we go. I'd be surprised if we don't have the winner of this race. And we've covered most of the top of the market, bar the favourite. So we'll have to wait and see. So Jack there with Eternal Pearl and Stay Alert, and myself with Mimic You and Sweet Lady. You mentioned Fancy Man there. Fancy Man and Sweet Lady. You can put them together.
Not sure Fancy Man.
No, not a chance. But yeah, Sweet Lady being my number 1 selection. I was really looking forward to seeing the French come over and hopefully have another winner like last year. The 320 is the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, often known as the QE2, Group 1 over a mile. And in Spiral is your first odds-on favourite on the card here, 10-11. Modern Games 4-1. The Revenant over from France 6-1. He loves this race. Jadumi 13-2, 20-1. And bigger about the others. So we're looking around the top 4 in the market here, Jack. And I mean, well, I'll mention it. So we're going with a nice, good group like we do every year. And we all have a big group bet before we head to Ascot. And we've all managed to go in Spiral at 11-4. And hopefully we'll pay for a few drinks on the day. And Frankie, we trust, didn't quite do the job for us last year with Palace Pier, but hopefully Spiral can do the business this year. And I think she's going to win this, Jack. People have their doubts, but look, the last day, she beat Erevan. Now, this horse then came out and easily won, in my opinion, the pre-Daniel Wildenstein on Arc weekend in an absolute canter. And she beat the Revenant that day. which, look, the Revenant shows up here every year. I think this horse needs bottomless ground to have a real chance, to be totally honest. I wouldn't be concerned about this. And the interesting one is Modern Games being supplemented for this before going to the Breeders' Cup. I think that's obviously, according to the betting, it's the most likely to beat Inspiral, and that could be the case. But look, in terms of Modern Games, what I think about this horse is I would be worried slightly about the ground. Now, I know he won the French Guineas on good to soft ground, but I'd say that was a very weak French Guineas, in my opinion. The other two times done by Tenebrism in the 7th Furlong race and then third in the Jockey Club. I'm just not convinced that he wants, any sort of juice in the ground. I think he can go on it, don't get me wrong, but I think he wants it as quick as possible, to be totally honest. Jadumi needs to find something, keeps on improving, but I just think this could be a step too far. I just can't get away from Inspiral, Jack. I know that might be more sort of the bet slip at 11-4 talking here, but you actually look through it and potentially Modern Games is just in here to boost Charlie Appleby's prize money for the trainer's title and have a place here before having, this is basically a prep run for the Breeders' Cup weekend. But I just can't see Inspiral losing this. 10-11, probably not a bet now, but the 11-4 looks tasty.
Yeah. Look, I completely agree. I've seen a few people make a case for Tempest there. Tenebrism definitely won't be going here. She's not jocked up here. I'll be ridiculously surprised if they choose to go here instead. Inspiral, I think the one thing that a lot of people are worried about is the ground. But yeah, she hasn't ran on the ground. I know Deauville it was meant to be good to soft. It definitely wasn't good to soft. The time suggests it was definitely a lot quicker than that. But I mean, she almost has a soft ground pedigree. I mean, her dam was second in a Guineas and a Coronation Stakes on good to soft and soft ground. Her half sister won on heavy ground. I mean, there's so much soft ground in her pedigree. Of course, she's cheaply part bred as well. I mean, I don't think any given the ground's going to be any trouble whatsoever. If it was bottomless, I think that's completely different. But I mean, good to soft ground, I don't think that's going to trouble her at all. Whereas Modern Games, I don't think it's going to play to his strengths whatsoever. I mean, yes, he stayed a mile and a quarter in the Prix de Jockey Club, but he didn't properly stay it, and that was slightly not giving ground. But look, stepping back in trips to a mile, Modern Games has to be respected. But I'd almost go as far to say as Inspiral was as solid a favourite as Baid on the day. I'm not one to do a muggy double, but I definitely wouldn't be putting you off Inspire at 10-11. Modern Games, he'll be declared, but they'll wait until the last minute on Saturday whether they pull him out or not. Jadumi, of course, you have to respect the Revenant. Is he really the force of old? Who knows? And you've got the likes of Check and Challenge in there, who was beaten at Goodwood in the Thoroughbred Stakes, and the list goes on. So look, I do think this is Inspiral's race to lose. I think she's a cracking filly. I mean, John and Thady Gosden, they don't send one here if they're not in tip-top condition, as we know. So I think if she's going here to win and win in good style.
Yeah, it's got that kind of Stradivarius effect with Gosden here, Jack. When you said about the pedigree here, like in soft ground, it's like Stradivarius always wanted good ground and then went to, the Gold Cup a few years back and probably put in one of his best displays on soft going. It's kind of got that vibe about it. You wouldn't be surprised if Inspiral just went, here we go, and won this by a few lengths,
Yeah, to be fair to their credit, they haven't said she doesn't like soft ground. She just hasn't really been able to meet it. Who knows what happened at Newmarket? It may have just been the quick turnaround, or who knows why she disappointed that day. But I think she's probably just a bit too classy for this field.
Yeah, it was a messy race at Newmarket and the Falmouth, really, wasn't it? And it probably was the quick turnaround that did it. But yeah, look, we're both hoping Spiral goes and does the business, and Frankie has a big winner on Champions Day. And let's go on to probably the centrepiece of the day. It's the Qipco Champions Stakes, a Group 1 over a mile and a quarter. And you may want to compare him to Frankel, but I don't care. He's great in his own right. Baid is your favourite at 1-4. 2021 Derby and King George winner Adayar is the new challenger at 4-1. Not been seen since the Eclipse. Bay Bridge is 10-1. My Prospero and last year's second, Dubai Honour here. They're on a kind of an assist mission potentially here for Baid at around 25-33-1 and bigger about the rest of them. Now, it's obvious for us to just go, Baid will win this. And that's, I don't mind. The ground's fine. He's going to go on this ground and he's just going to go and win this, Jack. And I think we're both going to agree there. And it's very simple to say. And it'd be great for us to do a review video of the flat. And I'll quickly announce now that we are going to probably do a review video of the flat, but on Breeders' Cup night. Now, Jack and I are going to be doing our first ever live video of kind of a watch along of the Breeders' Cup. But in between races, we'll have topics to talk about. Best 2-year-olds from the season, best horse. We'll talk about Baid. We'll be talking all about the flat and obviously previewing the race and having special guests on. It's going to be very exciting. Looking forward to that. a few drinks. Do join us for that. I'm sure I'll get more details out next week with regards to that. But that's when we'll probably do our review of the flat season. So we will get to discuss Bide in further details following him hopefully winning this Champion Stakes. I mean, Jack, it might be an easy one to say, look, the betting without market, is Adayar going to go and do this? But with regards to a favourite this short, I don't know whether you'd want to be playing the betting without favourite market.
It's just the massive head scratcher to me is, why is Adayar running over 1.25 miles? His win at Doncaster, he strides like a 1.5 mile horse. He showed last year he's a 1.5 mile horse. The only thing I can think of is that they don't want him to turn into a sire of just jump horses where he just runs over 1.5 miles. I mean, if I were Charlie Appleby and Godolphin, I mean, what do I know? But I would have definitely sent him to the Arc. I mean, I don't know why they've tried to step him back in trip and opposed by Eid. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they try and shock him, and then he's a much more lucrative sire. But hey, look, I mean, Baybridge, he's a friend of the channel. We love Baybridge, so it'd be great to see him go well. I mean, of course, in the Prince of Wales, is very tactical, and last time out, he just didn't give a good account at all in the Eclipse, which was a weird one, if I'm being honest. But look, back to 1.25 miles on softer ground. I think he's definitely going to take a step back in the right direction. Is he good enough to get near Adayar or Bide? I don't really think so. Bide should be able to handle the ground whatsoever. I mean, it's not a question of if Bide's going to win, because he should win. It's kind of just who's going to nab second place. But I'm going to say, you've been saying for the last couple of months that Dubai Honour is going to grab second place. And do you stick by this?
Yeah, well, this is what I said before we came on. I said, have you got a bet for the Champion Stakes? And you said, not really, no. And I said that I did have one, and I do stick by this. I think that this is just going to be set up for the William Haggas show, to be totally honest. And look, this horse finished second last year to our loved Sealaway. Unfortunately, Sealaway hasn't been the force of last season this season. But the Dubai Honour ran an absolute corker in this. Kind of, you know, they were two shocks, really, weren't they, last year? Dubai Honour and Sealaway when they came 1-2, because the top of the market really did flop that day. But everything could be perfect for him. I'm hoping there is a little bit of juice in the ground for him. I wouldn't be put off by that run at Kempton at all. If anything, that just enhanced the price. I mean, did go out to 33-1 from 20s. Now the market's been cut up again. He's back into 20s again. But I don't know what price he's going to be without Bide in here. But I don't know. I just think that he could run into the frame here. I mean, I don't think we're going to get 8 runners. This is the worry. I mean, your worry is you might be playing first and second if you're playing each way in this on the day, because I can see this on Thursday morning just cutting up into maybe a 5-4 runner field, to be totally honest. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Dubai Honour, a horse I'm a big fan of for this race. I would not be shocked to see him go close if getting declared. I just think that Haggas will have everything in his favour come the day and could have the 1-2 in the Champion Stakes. Now, the race where we should both be picking some nice prices. We've already done that already during the preview, but you're guaranteed to get a few here. It's the Balmoral Handicap, the kind of the end of the flat season. This is where I say, as soon as the last horse is finished, the jump season does begin. It's at 440 over a mile, and Blue For You is your 8-1 favourite here. Tyrant Fincey, Sweet Believer, and Atrium are 10-1. Montesive and Dual Identity 12-1. 14-1 About Migration, Bashrakova and Astro King, and 16s Bar. I like 2 in this race. The main fancy, this is going to be good because I know that we're both going to like horse in it. The main fancy is a horse I've been banging on about since Newmarket's Open weekend, and that's Montafam. Now, this horse hasn't been seen since finishing 19th of 20 in last year's renewal. It doesn't sound great. However, I do like a horse in here called Montafam. Now, Montafam is a horse who I don't know, Jack, but the fact that this horse it's been all over Twitter, been working with Bide all year, a beautiful grey horse. You can't miss him in the videos. And I just have a feeling they wouldn't be working this horse with Bide if this horse hadn't shown that much improvement. Like, this horse, I think, has been dropped £5 from last year's renewal. And look, if I think that improvement they think has come out of Montafam is there, then I just have this feeling that he's going to go so well. Now, he'll carry 9 stone 5. Now, last year's Connection won this with Aldari. I know this was a short price. I think the horse was favourite or second favourite. It was 7-2, but that horse carried 9 stone 6. Now, Haggas just knows what to do here with these horses, and he's got the market, really, hasn't he? He's got some decent chances in this market. But Montafam, I'm going to be all over this on that. I think he's a cracking bet in this field. You're taking a bit of a chance because we don't know how good he could potentially be, but if we're going on the hype of him working with Bide, I mean, you've got to have a go on him at that price of 25-1. The other one is Magical Morning. 33-1 with Benoit de la Sayette on board for Team Gosden. Now, Benoit de la Sayette, at the time of filming, is 5 clear in the Champion Apprentice title. Probably going to be difficult for Harry Davies to catch him, but it'll be fascinating to see the little run-up over the next 2 days to Champions Day. But look, was third in this last year, carrying 9 stone 6 with Jamie Spencer on board. This year, 9 stone 8, but gets Benoit's £3 off. So it's essentially carrying 9 stone 5. He'll love the ground, and this is a similar prep to last year. Now, he was 23rd of 26 in the Cambridgeshire last year and then came here. Now, this year, he finished 22nd of 28 in the same race and is coming here again. I just have they probably had this race in mind again from all year, and 33-1 with Benoit de la Sayette, who I think is an absolute talent in the saddle. 33-1, I think, is an absolute still, Jack. So Montatham 25-1 and Magical Morning will be my bets in the Balmoral. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm with you with Montatham. I mean, being dropped £5, he's now £2 lower. When he won at York, beating Sir Busco, of course, we've seen as a Group 2 winner, now only £2 higher when winning at Sandown, beating Dark Vision, who was, of course, very capable on his day. Look, on breaks of more than 200 days, he won at Thirsk in 2019 by 2 lengths and then hacked up at Newmarket after a 200-day break by 3 lengths. So, I mean, it's very interesting. If there's one man who you know can bring them back after a break, it is William Haggas. He was, of course, tried in Group 2 company last year in the York Stakes at York, obviously. So it's very interesting that he has dropped into handicap company. As you said, he's been working with Baid. I know he's also been working with Alan Kerr, with Dubai Honor. I mean, if you look at their ratings compared to his, I mean, it's very interesting that they've chosen to actually work them with him. So, I mean, I think that speaks volume. Jim Crowley's booked up for the same connections as last year. And I mean, at that price, I think it's quite irresistible. So I think Montatham will be a group next gen, but that's for sure. And the other for me is Migration. He's a 6-year-old, but only has 15 runs under the belt and has 4 wins. Hasn't been seen since April when second to Modern News. Now, one thing I love about the Balmoral is when they have form over further. Of course, one at Goodwood over 1.25 miles on heavy ground, beating Caradoc, and then one over 1.25 miles at York, beating Sinjari, who are now both rated a lot higher than they were on that day. Now, I mean, of course, he is rated 109. He's got an awful lot of work to do, but William Buick's back on board, which I think is a massive bonus. He may be 6 years old, but I mean, after a break, I think we're both kind of going for those after a break here. But I think Migration, if there is a class angle in the race, I wouldn't be surprised if it's him. And if about 14-1, I think he doesn't look a bad price whatsoever.
There we go. Migration and Montatham for Jack, and Montatham for me as well, along with Magical Morning. Maybe there's the joint each-way double. We'll put that up. Let's have that as the each-way double. Brad the Brief and Montatham this week. I mean, that'll be, I'll tell you what, the picture you'll get if they both win will be absolutely sensational. But yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm hoping Montatham can do the business. And Jim Crowley could be on such a high from Baid winning, and then he goes and wins the Balmoral, which would be ideal. And then the jump season finally starts once that's all over. Let's go on to the naps and next best for the weekend. Now, this is where everything went very well for us last year. I think you put Sealoy up as a next best. I put him up as a nap, and then you had a nice winner over the jumps. But I know you're not going to be doing that again. So let's have the next best first.
Yeah.
No. You can't do it again, surely.
No, I'm not. You're right. The next best is going to be Eternal Pearl in the Fillies and Mares at 5-1.
Okay, fine. Eternal Pearl at 5-1. My next best on the card, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to put Montatham up at 25-1 because I just really like the sound of this horse going. I just have the feeling he's going to go and do it. It's in my head that he's already won it. I'm very excited to see him. He's a beautiful grey, and I can't wait to be cheering him home on the Ascot Straight. And your nap this week, Jack?
The nap's going to come from Market Raisin.
You said you wouldn't do it. You said you wouldn't do it, especially you wouldn't put up as a nap.
If it's not broken, don't fix it, eh? Thunder Rock's going to win the 227 over 2.5 miles. It's a handicap hurdle at Market Raisin. Who cares about the Fillies and Mares and the QE2? It's all about Market Raisin over 2.5 miles. A 0-140. Thunder Rock sneaks in off 135, just a tad lower than Aramax on stable debut away from Gordon Elliott. Now, he absolutely hacked up at air last year when last team beating Grey Skies by 7.5 lengths in a good time as well. I think he will will need a little bit of rain. He was by no means disgracing in graded company at Sandown on his penultimate outing. He travelled delightfully, but I think the ground was almost a little bit too soft for him. And he may have perhaps been a little bit keen early doors. But look, I think a mark of 135 by no means overestimates his ability. And I think Thunder Rock, I'm not sure what price he's going to be, but he's going to win at market raising, baby.
Sorry, I just switched off. You finished?
Yeah,
Thunder Rock, market raising. It's not the same race as last year, is it?
It is the exact same race. It is the exact same race, yeah.
This is a race that Jack, just so you know, look, joking aside, Jack did put up the winner. I think it was around 4-1, 7-2, Jack, I want to say last year.
Sky. It was Martello Sky.
Yeah, Martello Sky turned out to be a really nice horse. So yeah, look, we'll have to wait and see. Thunder Rock as Jack's nap. And my nap this week is going to be Sweet Lady, coming in the Fillies and Mares Stakes at 9-1. And that's it for this week. Like I say, our review of the flat season will come during our Breeders' Cup live night. We have got flat racing still to look forward to, but it'll be mixed in with the jumps. You obviously have got the Verse and Futurity still to come, a Group 1 on the flat, but there will be some jumps entwined with that, I'm sure. And we've also got Cheltenham starting again as well. So looking forward to that. That's going to be really exciting. I'm sure you'll see a decent weekend preview from Jack and I next week. Let us know down in the comments who you're going to be backing this week on Champions Day. Looking forward to seeing the best bets. If you are at Ascot, we had a few people come over and say hello last year. Do not be afraid. Come over and say hello. Jack said he'll buy you all a beer, so you can come over and I'm sure he'll treat you to one. But yeah, look, it's going to be a great day. We're looking. Sorry,
the Thunder Rock goes and does the business, of course. Why not? Drinks in the house.
You're going to have the whole crowd coming over, I tell you. I'll tell them all that you're buying drinks. Right, so that's it. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe as always. Give the video a like and enjoy the weekend.